Recently, Bill O'Reilly sent his goon, Jesse Waters, to the Cornell campus to search for political indoctrination, and then Waters was thrown off the campus because he was harassing, sometimes in a sexual sense, the students of Cornell. But first, why did they think that they would find political indoctrination there? Here is Bill explaining.
Of the nearly $600,000 donated by Cornell's faculty to political candidates, 96% went to Democrats. That doesn't seem real diverse to me. So we sent Waters to Cornell.
To me? Maybe that's an old school journalistic trick, I don't know, to introducing a story. Maybe I should start using it. So, 96%.
Can I just say it real quick? What if you polled people at Fox News? My guess is that somewhere close to 96% will have donated to Republicans as opposed to Democrats. Remember, their slogan is fair and balanced. Mm-hmm. That doesn't seem very fair and balanced to me. So maybe we should send some dirty Waters to investigate Fox News.
Yeah, and look, I don't know exactly where he got that information from, that 96% is off. If it is true, that is very high, obviously. For all we know, the 600,000, 550,000 of it could be from one person. That would be an interesting thing to find out. And they don't look at all the schools. I'm sure there are a lot of private universities, religious universities, military academies, where they give heavily to conservatives. He's not interested in that, though, so he sends Jesse Waters, and then they, after probably hours of filming, are able to put together a montage which looks something like this.
What's the vibe on campus?
Very diverse campus, a bunch of different people from a bunch of different backgrounds.
It's not that diverse because according to this report, 96% of the donations from faculty here went to Democrats.
What's wrong with that?
Oh, do you ever feel that the professors are pushing a political agenda here?
I've got friends who are liberal arts majors. They write a paper and they bring up a conservative viewpoint. They won't get a good grade.
If I want an A, I tailor my papers to how the professor leans.
I'm going to give you a test to see if you've been indoctrinated and how bad it is. Do you think we should build a wall on the southern border to protect against the illegal alien invasion?
The invasion.
So you'd be okay with Guatemalans coming into your dorm room and sleeping on the floor?
Okay, no.
Don't stop, Angel. You're doing fine.
Make it out of ice.
That's not very smart from a Cornell student.
Well, I'm indoctrinated, so I know nothing.
What is the national debt right now?
200 million.
18 trillion. Professors aren't telling you the truth.
Maybe not.
Do you think that the phrase Islamic terror is offensive?
Yes.
Have a lot of the terrorists been Episcopalian these days? Do you have a Make America Great Again hat?
No.
Can I buy you one?
Absolutely. You can't buy me anything.
Dinner?
Okay, this got weird.
He included that in the video, by the way, which I think makes him look like a ridiculous creep because she wasn't having it, but he included that. There's a lot to pick apart. My favorite part, of course, is that they understand how ancient their audience is, and so they put in the old-timey video clips. The only thing older than those references are the people watching Fox News, but it's the guy with the black and white and the hat and everything. They couldn't find a Will Ferrell clip that would make the students look stupid?
So, by the way, you didn't know what the exact national debt was. Yeah, I'd like to give that quiz at any Republican get-together. See how they do on that quiz.
Yeah, Waters didn't
they're going to know that fact, right?
He didn't know it 5 seconds before he Googled it before conducting that interview.
Okay, right. So these are purposely unfair questions. Ironically, they complain when presidential candidates get asked perfectly normal policy questions and call them gotcha questions.
Gotcha.
These are gotcha questions. I mean, what a stupid question. Do you want somebody from Honduras sleeping in your dorm room? That has nothing to do with our immigration policy, right? Yeah. It's a different thing for someone to come into a dorm room and sleep with you than it is to, hey, what should be our reasonable immigration policy?
Yeah.
Just because you think that some level of immigration should be allowed doesn't mean you believe that they should sleep under your bed. Right? This is a stupid, stupid gotcha question. What's so funny is that, to me, it's absolutely transparent, but they think they're being super clever.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and the 72-year-olds that watch O'Reilly's show, that's the average age for an O'Reilly viewer, they're like, yeah, you see how they got the grandkids over there? They don't know anything anymore. Kids. Get off my lawn. Okay.
They love the college kids looking stupid, especially if you tell them it's liberal college students.
So, and they say, are you against the illegal invasion? You're not, you're biased. No, the question is biased, right? Now, it's a fair question to ask, what percentage of Cornell professors are in favor of, a path to citizenship? That's a fair policy question.
Yeah.
Are you in favor of the illegal invasion that was going to come under your bed in your dorm room? Oh, you are in favor of it. Biased.
Yeah.
How do you not see the irony in that? You don't see the irony in that if you're a stupid person like Jesse Waters and Bill O'Reilly.
Yeah, yeah. Look, the 96% is definitely interesting. Look, I was in political science in undergrad and government in grad. I had professors that I was pretty certain were liberal. One or two turns out that they were actually neocons and hit it very well at the time. But I also had professors that were incredibly conservative. My political theory professors were whack jobs. But I also knew that I should probably write in that direction to them. But there's a difference between a professor being liberal or giving to a Democrat or whatever, and you being like penalized in some way for seeming conservative. If a student goes into a class, an intro economics class, and then spreads a juvenile version of supply-side economics that they read in an Ayn Rand novel, then yeah, they're not going to do well. That's not because of political bias. It's because it's a stupid, asinine theory that they have attempted to indoctrinate young and old people to believe. And the professors, the ones who actually study economics and study politics and study history, study comparatively, and actually know about this material a little bit more than Jesse Waters and Bill O'Reilly do, they are actually good judges of what makes sense politically, economically, in terms of comparative constitutions, things of that sort. That's not bias. That's an expert.
Right. And so, look, when I was going on undergrad, remember, I was a Republican, right? So I knew most of my political science professors were liberals, although I had a professor who worked in the Nixon administration. And even back when I was a Republican, I could tell his bias was that Nixon was awesome, right? And that's what he taught us. Okay, so now there are some instances. In law school, we had one professor who, if you didn't agree with her liberal position, she said, then you don't understand the material. Okay, now that is bias.
Yeah.
Okay, it does exist. But you belittle your own cause when you act like a jackass like this, assume that it's for every professor, it's completely one-sided, and you conflate the two issues. If you have a specific instance of a professor doing that, then we're actually going to be on your side and say, don't do that. That's ridiculous. And you can fix that problem that you found. But that's not what they're doing here. They're trying to say, hey, don't go to school. The school's for people who are going to be biased. No. Just listen to our propaganda. That's the better way to go.
Yeah. Yeah, my final thing about the indoctrination. So this is an ongoing campaign. We had Ben Carson talking about how he wants to turn the Department of Education into Big Brother for education to see if professors are indoctrinating them. Do conservatives, do Republicans, Jesse Waters, Bill O'Reilly, do they actually not want kids to be indoctrinated, to be told what to believe? Do they perhaps want families to be barred from bringing kids to church until they're 21, until they can decide for themselves? No, they think they should be brought there every day and they should learn exactly what to believe when it comes to morals or in a lot of churches, even politics, what policy positions to have. They've got no problem with that, so don't believe anything that they say about propaganda. They're not against propaganda, they're just against other people's propaganda or what they perceive to be propaganda.
And that's why they assume that professors are indoctrinating students, because that's what they would do.
Yeah.
That's what they do every Sunday. That's what they do at Fox News. So they assume whenever you're talking to kids, what do? You indoctrinate them, right?
Yeah.
That's what we do. So that's why we assume they do the same thing.
Yeah. You read different books, different sources at a college. When you go to church, they don't give you the Quran and the Torah and the Old Testament and New Testament. They don't give you books by Dawkins. So let's see if you still believe in religion after reading this. They're not interested in you testing your faith in that way. No, they just want you to believe.